Wow, I can't believe it's Labor Day weekend. Oh, time is running along very fast, it seems. Hello, I hope you're all doing well. It is August 30, 2024. Hello, Alicia and Analog Synth Player and Sandra and Andrew Cruz and Rage Against the Machine, Tony Punch, Crazy Pots. Hi. And Justin Wynn, Barb in Ohio, Kim Blanchard, Shauna Howard, Oracle 11, Jack Bauer. Well, very few are in the chat. I hope that those who usually are in the chat are doing something fabulous this weekend. But as soldiers, we don't take vacations. Oh boy, do we need a lot of soldiers. We're going to go right into it. Crystal Ingram, hello. Patricia White, hello. All right, I hope everybody can hear me. I don't want to sit right up against the desk, and so I don't even know what those things are called, where they have the arm and you can swing it around and your mic is held up on that thing that's attached to something, and oh well, I don't have it, so me having to go, it means I have to go very close. I don't like being close to the screen. So, and I sure don't like yelling, and I don't like what we're living. I really don't. But again, I will say things are getting really bad. Sure do hope you have some protection. Hey, Michael Wilson. A tripod? No, not a tripod. It's this metal thing that you attach to the desk, and then it has a folding arm and you can bring it over. I don't, what do I know? Okay, what do I know? I'm forgetting everything. So let's just look at radar. All right. So I think these are the storms that Mama Rages was talking about in Michigan. Supercell activated, but they seem to be turning off the supercells in Michigan. But look at this. It goes all the way down to West Texas. Okay? Central Texas, West Texas, and goes through Oklahoma, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, up to Michigan. Really? That's not a storm created by Mother Nature. Let's see if it even goes. Oh, they're reaching for Canada. Once again. No, sorry. It's not a weather front. Though I think that's what they used to call training storms. Remember that term? And look at what's happening here in Mississippi, North Carolina. That doesn't look good. So, all right. These storms are going northwest. These are coming down south. Really? Oh, you get dizzy watching radar now. This one's beginning to take on a hurricane characteristic. Look at all of these The supercells right along the west border of Florida, and they completely extinguish right in the Gulf. None of this is real. All of it is manufactured. All right, so I don't believe are any, no, there's no tornado alerts, but severe weather, Mississippi, North Carolina, and Tennessee. Wow. Okay. That's a big difference because we had severe weather, I believe, in several other states. They've knocked them off. I just wanted to see if they were still on this page, even though they expired. So, North Carolina, Allegheny, and Ash, and Bladden, and Wilkes, and Yadkin in North Carolina. Be very careful. Those don't look pretty. These look very destructive. They're being moved out. It's all manufactured. Look at how they're just moving down south. While all of these are going, well, where are they going? They're holding them steady. This is going up northeast. My God. What a mess we find ourselves in. What a flippin' mess. Be very careful if you're in these counties. In North Carolina. Mississippi, you got DeSoto. Tennessee, you got Shelby. Mississippi, you also have Marshall and Tate. The link is in the chat for the severe weather warnings, as well the radar site. Central West Virginia, we're still in a drought. I'm heading to Dallas, Texas. I hope the weather is nice there this next week for your vacation. Good for you. A vacation. Wow. All right, so I do hope the weather is nice for you, but Texas, we all know Texas, right? Don't we all know Texas? So be very careful. Vincent Veritas, hello. Tuesday storms in Michigan weren't natural. Not with the winds. Absolutely. Hey, Hypocrites Matrix. Hi. All right, so I actually don't have much for you. Might be able to do the 2 hours, but I'm getting tired. To do this kind of stuff, you really do need, the real life support, the encouragement, the help, the yada, yada, yada. And unfortunately, when you don't have it, it's not like the subscriber here doesn't support me. I'm not saying that at all. But when your needs aren't met, it gets really tiring living this. And my hunch is some of you could identify with that. We need one another, We really do need one another. We need a social life. We need connection, deep connection, having those trustworthy souls in your life. All of that is It sustains life, brings joy, and when it all gets depleted, what happens? You get very tired. Life just begins to be drudgery. So, any of you feeling that way? All right, let's go. Pennsylvania, already. Route 75 bridge damaged in the Turbot Township. Okay, how did that happen? You had so much rain that it literally just ripped up this road at the bridge?
On scene right now, just taking a peek at the damage and determining when they can open that back up. Taking a peek right now over Route 75. This is also in Juniata County. This is the bridge over Hunters Creek, Turbot Township there near Port Royal. And you can see this is a PennDOT road, and crews are on scene right now, just taking a peek at the damage and determining when they can open that back up.
Oh, that was a 16-second broadcast. You did good, WGAL-TV.
And
mainstream media is really showing how either lazy they are or they're just, maybe it's just all AI. Flood coverage costs soaring again across New York, New Jersey. It's going up everywhere, and between the insurance and property taxes, it's a good way for them to steal a lot of people's homes.
Sunday marks 3 years since the remnants of Hurricane Ida pummeled the tri-state area with destructive, deadly flooding. Well, now some survivors are telling investigator Masa Saidi they face a whole new challenge. Their insurance costs are soaring.
September 1st, 2021, Milford, New Jersey. And the water has just entered the home of Leanna Jones.
Just come downstairs.
She looks outside, stunned.
Oh my God.
3 years after Jones and her children were rescued from the flood, she tells CBS News New York now she feels like she's underwater. The problem is her insurance.
It's just not affordable. Like, I can't afford it.
The headache started after Ida. Jones returned to find her appliances broken. Everything covered in mud. According to an inspection report, parts of her home were damaged too. The basement foundation is now leaking more, and in the porch wall, cracks. Jones says the insurance money was not enough.
I have the structural report that says the damage to this was caused by the flood, but sorry, we don't cover it because porches aren't covered.
She took out a federal disaster loan that's now due. That's on top of 2 insurance bills. We found since the hurricane, Jones's homeowner's policy has spiked 55%. An even bigger expense is her flood policy, up 57%.
This was supposed to be my dream home. It's turned into a nightmare.
Jones had flood coverage through a private company, but according to the Insurance Information Institute, most homeowners, 7 out of 10, get it through the National Flood Insurance Program, or NFIP. You don't have any other choice.
I have no other choice. NFIP is my only option.
Jones's neighbor, Michelle Belding, was also battered by Ida. The mother of 5 says the insurance claim took over her life. And since then, her NFIP policy has increased 47%.
And it doesn't cover personal contents nor rental. And this could go up next year. And for what?
Once you file a claim, once you have a flood, you expect your insurance to go up.
Yeah.
Senior analyst at AM Best, Sridhar Maniam, rates the financial strength of insurers. He says in 2022, the NFIP changed how it priced policies. Before, it was a one-size-fits-all approach, and now he says it's more fair. Rates are based on the individual property. The higher the risk, the higher the premium.
The kind of structure you have, the distance from the water.
According to data analyzed by CBS News New York, people in New Jersey are paying on average $1,000 a year for flood insurance, a similar rate in New York. But the NFIP says under its new pricing structure in both states, they should be paying twice that. That means if you live close to the water expect a rate hike, but not all at once.
There's a cap on how much the increase is going to be.
The floor buckled like an accordion.
Meanwhile, as life slowly gets back to normal,
I'm going to have to patch that and paint it.
Belden questions the value of insurance. She says she had full coverage, but she's still out thousands.
It changes your entire life. And this was only 2 feet.
There was a time when she loved this creek and life on aptly named Water Street, but not anymore.
I come out and I'm like, overrated.
How are people going to handle all of this? I don't know. People are losing their homes for not paying property taxes or not paying in full the property taxes. These home insurance rates are skyrocketing all over the country, and you pay large, expensive premiums, and then they continually increase. And then when you actually have to call the insurance company to say, okay, I have a claim after 20 years, then they increase your rates again. It does seem to be a scam. Yeah. A shared fire hydrant. Okay, it's either water main breaks, now it's a fire hydrant, causing a massive geyser in LA. Really? All right. Well, that looks like it could possibly damage some homes. Oh my God. Well, problem after problem after problem after problem. Man. Local nonprofits see less charitable giving from donors at a time of great need. If you have, and a whole lot of people do have, that they could donate a couple of cans of food to the food bank or a bag of dog food to the animal shelter, that needs to be done, especially now.
And Jeremy, what's being done?
Well, Mike and Keisha, fewer donations are being brought forth by people, and that's based on conversations with some nonprofits based in Hartford and a recent nationwide survey. Nonprofit leaders tell me they're now taking different approaches to get the funding that's needed.
Whether it's money or supplies, donations are the lifeblood at Hartford-based Angel of Edgewood.
Without them, we wouldn't be able to survive.
President and CEO Jendaya Scott Miller says it allows her nonprofit to provide crucial items and services for families in need. But this year, she's noticed donations have been harder to come by.
A lot of donors now are scaling back where they used to give so generously with no questions asked.
Scott Miller says economic conditions like inflation, with prices up nearly 20%, have had an effect.
A lot of them are saying, we have a family to think about, and we need to make sure that, we have our nest egg.
A recent survey by Giving USA shows charitable giving by individuals has declined nationwide by 2.4%. from 2022 to 2023.
You only have so much money you can give. It's not unlimited money. I wish I had more money to give.
Guy Newman, who owns GN Construction in West Hartford, is a consistent donor to Angel of Edgewood. While he's fortunate to still be able to give, he says uncertain economics can cause other donors to rethink their approach.
We're spreading the dollars, and I think that happens probably more than people not giving anymore, right? It's just that they're choosing to sort of spread their gifts.
Hector Rivera with the Hartford nonprofit Our Piece of the Pie, which focuses on youth employment and education, also says donations have been tougher to get. He says new approaches are needed.
There needs to be diverse funding streams within your nonprofit environment. It's important to invest time in building those relationships with your donors and being able to demonstrate the outcomes that you originally entered into the relationships with.
Scott Miller says she's focusing on applying for grants and working with other nonprofits on joint applications.
Wow. Okay. Sure would love to see my subscribers giving in their communities, right? Love to see it. Hope you're all doing that. At least 3 seriously injured in house explosion in Flatbush, Brooklyn. This is not the fire that engulfed several apartment buildings in Brooklyn that I believe was last night. I included that last night. Now, a house explosion in Flatbush.
The explosion was so intense it knocked the windows right out and even some of the shingles off of the roof. Emergency crews surround this 2-family home on East 37th Street by Foster Avenue in Brooklyn, now littered with broken glass. The FDNY says around 8:30 p.m. calls came into 911 reporting an explosion in the basement. The department says first responders found 4 people total injured, 3 of them critically injured. 2 were rushed to the burn center at Staten Island University Hospital. National Grid and Con Edison have since shut the gas lines for 4 total buildings on this block, and some of these residents have also been evacuated for the night. We spoke to neighbors about what they experienced.
I heard a loud bang. I assumed it was a truck that hit the building, but then I saw my neighbor's front door in the middle of the sidewalk, and that was time to get out of there.
We rushed out of the house, and we saw people starting to gather on the streets, and there was smoke coming from this direction. So as we ran to the house to see what was happening, that's when we saw the 2 victims just staggering out of the house.
Upon arrival, units found two victims in the street. There were also 2 that were up on the top floor. They found remnants of an explosion. There were glass all over the street and obvious structural damage. Upon further investigation,
many homes are exploding. Houston Housing Authority accused of knowing about toxic contamination, but they didn't tell anybody.
Well, only on Fox tonight, strong evidence emerging that the Houston Housing Authority suppressed knowledge of toxic contamination when it asked the state to help financially back a low-income housing project.
That's right. Fox 26 local reporter Greg Rugen has been all over it. He's here now in the studio with yet another breaking development. Greg.
Yeah, Rashi and Caroline, lying by omission is still lying. When the state of Texas asked if there was a safety risk on or near the property to be developed, the Housing Authority could have come clean about the toxic contamination they knew was there. Instead, they said nothing, a decision which may well prove very costly.
That place is right in the middle of contamination central.
Fox 26 was the first to report fresh revelations regarding the Houston Housing Authority's controversial 800 Middle Street low-income development. In documents we obtained from 2019, both HHA and its development partner, NRP, admit residual contamination remained on the property purchased for the $130 million project. And the 2 entities further conceded that land directly adjacent to the multifamily complex was so toxic it was unfit for any type of development.
It don't get any stinkier than this.
Turns out that 2 years later in 2021, when the Housing Authority applied for millions of dollars in state-backed bonds from the Texas Department of Housing and Community Development, neither HHA nor its development partner disclosed any of the concerns.
Wow. Within 300 feet of a solid waste facility, or a sanitary landfill facility, or illegal dumping. Why? We just don't seem to be doing anything right anymore. Revere apartment building condemned. forcing tenants to move. Massachusetts.
To call home. It's a story we first told you about on Tuesday here on NBC Boston. Our Michael Rosenfeld joins us live from Revere. He's got the full details on this story. Michael.
Well, Colton, city officials say it's just too dangerous for anybody to live here, so tonight they condemned it. There are 91 units here, 41 of which are occupied, and everyone will have to find a new place to live. The 13-floor Water's Edge apartment building along Revere Beach has now been condemned after a tense meeting at the city's Board of Health Thursday night. Attorneys for the city say the building's owners have been ignoring code violations for years.
Their tenants are living in a moldy, rat-infested high-rise building with no fire alarm and fire sprinklers that do not work.
So kick them out, and where are they going to go? Severe flooding in Sudan.
والأمطار والفيضانات وخربت خراب شديد البيوت، يعني معظم القرية بيوتها أمامكم في الكاميرا.
All right, so my God, there are so many people suffering all over the world due to the weather terrorists. And what is that due to? A whole lot of people who just even won't consider that weather is being manipulated and used as a weapon. How about another earthquake? El Salvador.
El Salvador earthquake, a magnitude 6.1 earthquake, rocked at the Central American country, followed by strong aftershocks. A magnitude 6.1 earthquake struck El Salvador on Wednesday afternoon, August 29, with no initial damage reported.
Do you think maybe, considering how many earthquakes are taking place, that maybe it has to do with HARP-like facilities, extremely low frequencies that are taking place? Maybe. Mysterious cloud. Looks like a person walking on air. Okay. Watch. Right here.
这是个人，小王。
我看到了，这个这个人拿手机，拍没拍？太像个人了。
这是不是天庭呢？ 我的乖呀！我靠，这是神仙！
我这个拍的不清。
这是个人，小王。
我拍到了，这个这个人拿手机。
Is it a hologram?
拍没拍？
What is it?
太像个人了。
这是不是天庭呢？
Did kind of look like a person walking at first. So the link is in the chat. I know people like to circulate the mysterious. Okay, we have a real problem that smacks us in the face every day. Our free speech in Western societies is dying due to the tyrants taking it away not enough ordinary people fighting the tyrants. So they essentially get to do whatever the hell they want to do.
Oh, by the way, do you know that in the UK they're going to start locking people up for retweets? Finally, if they incite racial violence. Do you think I'm kidding? Let's listen.
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
This is what we do. Let me be honest with you. If I was a migrant in the UK, that'd be the first motherfucker I would mug, okay? What did you want to say, Mike?
Well, you'd go to jail for saying that in the UK. I mean, if even saying that on stage, you'd be, we would have to arrest you because that incites hatred against police officers.
So they have a lady who's going to look over the social media in the UK, and that's her. She's the lady. Nice.
You know,
Tig Notaro.
you know, the thing that stands out to me, Jimmy, is she's got great teeth for a British person.
Yeah, that's very suspicious.
That still plays Americans who believe that all British people have crumbling teeth because they didn't have the fluoride like we did. That still is in people's heads. Wow. Okay.
All right, so this is the question. All right, so you're going to go after people for spreading hate and targeted discrimination. They have an MP there who happens to be a baroness. She called for a curfew for men after 6 because they can't control themselves. Is she going to get arrested? When Ibram Kendi tweets out the only cure for past discrimination is present discrimination, is he going to get arrested? When Robin DiAngelo tweets out that white people are irredeemably racist, is she going to get arrested? That sounds like you're stirring up hatred towards particular groups to me. If that's the standard, then okay, you got a lot of people you need to lock up.
Wait a minute! Are you...
And that's true. I mean, it's all about locking up the people who are going against the official narrative. And sorry to say, but the shutdown of free speech in a whole lot of countries, it is happening at a speed that is really frightening. It is very frightening. And from a subscriber who lives in Britain who said people are just scared now to speak up, to, retweet, really? You're going to, experience the consequences because you retweeted something that could offend somebody. What was the word he used? Insult? Okay. Things are happening. We all live in tyrannies now. Sure wish more people would face the music here because not here, like in the US, I just mean here on this planet. Because this is for sure for those who have children, grandchildren. This is not the world you want to leave to them, but a whole lot of people are doing that, just that. They don't deserve it. We'd lived very different lives than they did, than they are right now. And that we should all feel a tremendous amount of shame about. This is what we're leaving them. It's horrendous. So I put the link in if you want to listen to the, to the remainder. But here, all right, this is in the wrong place, sorry. So we'll come back to that. But Brazilian judge suspends X platform after it refuses to name a legal representative. A Brazilian Supreme Court justice ordered the suspension of X in Brazil after the tech billionaire refused to name a legal representative in the country. And the move further escalates the months-long feud between the two men over free speech, far-right accounts, and misinformation. Okay, yeah, all right. Tyranny is afoot. It's more than just afoot. Telegram founder Pavel Durov, I'm sure I've butchered that pronunciation, arrested and charged with an awful lot of, actual felonies in France. And it is, Telegram, not a platform I've ever used, but it's like, really? Okay. Letting the public know that these founders or owners of social platforms, they will experience the consequences if they don't abide. Well, in this case with Telegram, he apparently hasn't abided by the EU. They're wanting the censorship on Telegram. So, this is our world now. I mean, I really hate it. I just hate it. It's our world.
Dubai-based messaging platform Telegram just arrested in Paris this weekend over content moderation policies. The app has long faced scrutiny for enabling cyber criminals and extremism. For today's Check, Deirdre Bosa covers the implications ahead of the U.S. presidential election, Dee.
Hey, good morning, Seema. So this is a very big story in tech circles. Some are calling it an attack on free speech. Others are seeing it as accountability for social media. French President Emmanuel Macron, he just put out this statement on the arrest saying that it was not a political decision, but an ongoing investigation. Telegram in a statement says that it abides by EU laws and moderation within industry standards. But guys, let me step back for a moment because Telegram, I want to tell you what it is. It is one of the world's largest messaging apps with nearly 1 billion users. It is also a key communication tool in places like Russia, Ukraine, and India, where people can get independent news and exchange views in huge group chats. Some of those messages are encrypted, meaning that they cannot be monitored by the company itself or law enforcement, and that makes it a powerful place for sensitive info, including illicit activity. We're going to have more on that in a moment. But its founder, Pavel Durov, he is a Russian-born billionaire, and he has said that his North Star in creating the app and other apps before it is to let people express their freedom. So his arrest, it appears to be tied to these looser content moderation policies and that criminal activity on the platform. Macron, in his X post, says that on social networks, as in real life, freedoms are exercised within a framework established by law. Europe, of course, as Wilf well knows, has been demanding social media networks moderate their content more aggressively. And as the U.S. itself gets closer to its presidential election, lawmakers and companies here, they're navigating a lot of these same issues. Also at stake here, and what tech circles are talking about, is how secure Telegram really is. It markets the app as encrypted, but its implementation has more nuance. For example, encryption is not the default, and group chats aren't encrypted at all. So that...
I'm sorry, but I don't believe anything is so tightly encrypted that governments can't get in there, back door, to see what's going on. I just don't believe it. Because this is the internet, and this is the intelligence agencies' platform. All of the internet. It's their platform. But since it's theirs, they get to censor everybody, I guess. Trump warns Zuckerberg and anyone who illegally interferes in election will be jailed for life. Well, they said he was a dictator. Go ahead. Go ahead. Jail people for life, and a whole lot will say, yay! The ordinary people cheer for the tyranny on either side. Oh my God. And if Trump loses, expect a Republican civil war. Is it, what, only Republicans? If he wins, expect a Democrat civil war? There's not going to be a civil war. The idea of a civil war is that there are two sides and they fight one another in a rather organized manner. There's just going to be violent chaos that is already erupting. It will only get a whole lot worse. It will get a lot worse. Get your protection now while you can. All right, so the economic collapse, things are really bad. Extreme gaslighting. Here are 7 signs that the mainstream media is flat out lying to us about the economy. Who could possibly think that mainstream media is reporting the truth on the economy? Who could possibly think that? Those who love the lies because they never have to do anything. Not a thing. Right? Those who are still comfortable. I don't have to do anything. I can pay my bills. I still have a job. I'm okay. The economy's doing fine. It's doing fabulously. There must be something wrong with you. I gotta get this camera straight thing. How many times have you heard the mainstream media tell you that the economy is doing just great in recent months? I've seen the word booming, Michael Schneider, used, and I have heard the word booming used. That's me. Over and over again, to describe the economy. It makes me sick. The level of gaslighting and outright lying that we are witnessing right now is off the charts. Millions of Americans are sleeping in their vehicles. Thousands of businesses are failing all over the nation. And most of the country now believes that the American dream is no longer attainable. If this is what booming means, I'd hate to see what a recession means. Okay. Totally understand why the mainstream media is gaslighting us. They want us to believe that everything is fine so that they will vote a certain way in November. Really? See, I'm not entirely sure that that's the only reason. I think now they are just inverting everything. And a whole lot on monitoring the response from the American people. And what's the response? Zombie-like. Well, I don't care. Whatever. Yeah. Okay. You know, I mean, it is very obvious. Very obvious. The economy is not swell. Very obvious. So when they lie, and the lies become so obvious, there has to be other reasons for those lies. You know, I can speculate all day long, but it's not just about getting the votes, like all of those who are coming across the border. It's not just about the Democrats wanting votes, as we all know. So, survey after survey has shown that the economy is the number one concern for American voters during this election season. If the economy was in good shape, would that be their number one concern? No. The economy is in such rough shape that even Dollar General customers seem to be running out of money. When the U.S. economy was actually booming, Big Lots was thriving. Today, it's going bankrupt. The number of businesses that are filing for bankruptcy has reached new heights. Annual bankruptcy filings totaled 486,613 in the year ending June 2024, compared with 418,724 cases in the previous year. Business filings rose 40.3% from 15,724 to 22,060. Non-business bankruptcy filings rose 15.3% compared 464,553 compared with 403,000 in the previous year. But look at the numbers for the previous years. Do you think they magically came back and are doing fine, all of those in the previous year? No. They've been gutted. Now we have more gutted. Several regional Fed business surveys just fell even deeper into contraction territory. Approximately 2/3 of the entire U.S. population no longer believes that the American dream is still alive, and total household debt in the U.S. has soared to a level that we haven't seen before. First quarter of 2021, second quarter of 2024. Credit card debt surged, 48.1%, while household debt, which includes mortgages and auto loans, rose by 21.6%. In dollar terms, credit card debt rose from $770 billion in early 2021 to $1.14 trillion in the most recent quarter of 2024, while household debt increased from $14.64 trillion to $17.8 trillion in the same period. How do you think we're doing? How do you think we're doing? A small segment of society still doing quite well. But most Americans are really struggling. Small Arkansas city suffering from severe population decline and economic turmoil has become so abandoned that properties are offered for as little as $400. Wow. Pine Bluff. Wow. Pine Bluff saw its population drop from 49,000 to 41,000 5,250 residents. How many are dying? So, of course, the gap between the ultra-wealthy and the rest of us. Hell, the gap between those who are still hanging on and the rest of us just gets wider and wider. Our communities are falling apart right in front of our eyes. Our economy is falling apart. Our entire society is falling apart. So don't let mainstream media fool you. Really? Do you know people who are fooled by this? Majority of Americans can no longer afford an average house. All right. I will post the link to this. I like Daniela, who's interviewing Greg Manarino, and Bank of America being set up to fail in next financial crisis as Buffett sells $1 billion worth of stock. Pay attention to these banks, because the failures of the big ones, I guess they're sitting around a table deciding who is going to go down. Because the bank consolidation, that just gives the banks more and more power. Each time banks fail, and you have the JP Morgan, they don't know it, the Wells Fargo. They don't need the 6 major banks. So there's going to be a big bank going down. You want to pay attention to this, especially while considering the selling of stock a whole lot. There's a reason for it. Bank of America. And because I like Gerald Calente and Morris, I'm going to play several minutes of this video, but I will post the link. And they touch on the Bank of America and Buffett selling nearly $1 billion in stock.
Well, in the past few weeks, billionaire Warren Buffett has sold billions of dollars in stock for cash. And over the past 24 hours, he's done it once again, selling 981 million shares of Bank of America. He's now sitting on $278 billion in cash. He knows a crash is coming, and so does our next guest, who's been predicting it for many, many months. He's the leading trends forecaster in America, our friend Gerald Celente, the head of the Trends Journal. He's been predicting America's trends for decades. He nailed, of course, the 2008 collapse, among other collapses, well ahead of everyone else when everyone was saying, that's just garbage. But Gerald was saying, pay attention to what's happening. And Gerald joins us now. Gerald, great to see you as always here on the show.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, and thank you for the kind words.
Well, your front page of the new Trends Journal is out this week, and here it is, and it shows Kamala Harris over the dead body, basically, of the Statue of Liberty. Harris selling freedom as her political gang kills freedom. But I wanted to go to page 131 of the Trends Journal, Gerald, because I want to start here. Trends in the markets. You are being scammed and robbed blind on an unimaginable scale. It's about to get much worse, you write. So let's talk about the market. How is it about to get much worse, and how are we being scammed right now?
No one hardly is talking about this at all. You just mentioned about Warren Buffett selling all those shares of Bank of America. Did you see what happened this week at the Bank of Montreal? Oh, the shares are only down 7%. Well, how come? Well, because let's see, it's in the Trends Journal this week. Today, because of its overexposure to commercial real estate the Bank of Montreal shares tanked some 7% as we go to press. This is just the beginning. The worst is yet to come. Commercial real estate. Let's look at the facts. Not too long ago in 2020, the politicians declared, quote, the COVID war. That's what they all called it. They called it a war. We're going to war. We're going to war. We're going to war. And just as people march off to war all the time, when they call war, they marched off to the war. What did they say? You can't go to work. Get into your house. You can't go out. Now people are staying home week after week, month after month, year after year. And they're saying to themselves, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to commute an hour and a half each way, spending all this money. I can't believe I was doing this. I'm not going to do it anymore. Now I'm the guy that has, let's say, 10 stories in a building. And I say, I got these people in cubicles. I don't see them anyway. Let them work at home. Let them come in a couple of days a week. Your office occupancy rate, according to Castle Systems with a K, is 48.8%. People aren't going back to work. And people that have the buildings that are renting them, they're not renewing their leases. You have $4 trillion worth of commercial real estate loans coming up over the next 2 years. And again, the data is all there, but nobody's reporting on it because there's going to be the office building bust that we had forecast would happen. We said this would happen, by the way, in May of 2020. No one's talking about it because the banks are going to go bust. There's going to be massive defaults on loans. And let's go back. Tracking trends is an understanding of how we got here, where we are, and where we're going. And the current events form the future trends. So let's go back to 2020. Don't worry about it. You don't have to go to work. Here's free money. We're going to bring those interest rates down to zero and pump in trillions of dollars of fake money backed by nothing and printed on nothing. So here's the deal. The banks got all that dough as people were staying at home and putting their money in the banks. And what did they do? They bought treasuries. Oh, when interest rates were down to zero? And now they have all these defaults coming in on bank loans, on office building loans that no one is talking about, that they're not going to be able to cover. Why do you think the Bank of Montreal stock went down? Why do you think Buffett is bailing out? We are going to have a banking bust crisis, the likes of which we've never seen in the history of the world, part one or part two.
And these small regional banks are going to be the ones that get hit first. They're the ones holding a lot of these commercial loans. So the small regional banks that are defaulting and being gobbled up. Not a week goes by, Gerald, as you know, where these small banks aren't being gobbled up by the big guys.
That's right. Oh, you could thank, the crime syndicate, the Bill Clinton, remember the Glass-Steagall Act one, and one after another. Right. And they did away with the Glass-Steagall Act, Robbins Department Act, Sherman Antitrust Act, Clayton Antitrust Act. All we are plantation workers of Slavelandia. The robber barons own the country. One of the covers of the Trends Journal, got no money, got no cash, can't run for office. Robber barons are in control, basically. So now let's go back to the office building bust. In 2006, you worked in New York, and this isn't far from where you used to be, on 135 West 50th Street, Midtown. A building that sold for $332 million in 2006 went up for auction 3 weeks ago. They sold for $8.5 million.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
This is Midtown. So the building is in the middle of the street, right? The buildings that they built in the last 50 years are non-convertible to housing. They're empty spaces. So now the building's in the middle of the street. You got no back, you got no sides. All you got is a front. You can't convert this into housing. That's why it went for $8.5 million, and that's everywhere. You're looking at an office vacancy rate. Nobody there. In San Francisco, almost 35%. Before the COVID war, it was 3.5%. Your office vacancy rate in the largest cities in America, 24%. Vacant. So now there's going to be huge defaults. Nobody's talking about this. And again, why do you think gold prices are going up? It was one of our top trends for 2024. Golden year for gold. Gold prices have only gone up about $500 an ounce since we made that forecast. Again, going back to what Buffett is doing. I mean, the guy's the pro of pros in the business. And he's selling out of the banking system. The banksters are going to go bust. And even the big ones, by the way. The JP Morgan Chase gang, one after another. I call them a gang because they're convicted, what, of 5 felonies? 5 felonies? One of them rigging the precious metals market? They got fined the grand total of $900 million in 2019. They don't go to jail, by the way. No. They only get a slap on the wrist. It's persecution to the fullest for we the little people and a slap on the wrist for the gang running the show.
Now, I know you're a huge fan of the Fed. You're a huge fan of Jerome Powell. A big piece of the Trends Journal this week, and I really wanted to get into this because I think this is going to affect everyone watching our show right now. What happens with these rate cuts in the fall? Obviously, inflation up. They had to revise those job numbers, those fake and phony jobs numbers that the Biden and Harris administration were pushing out there about a strong labor market. So we know that it's not a strong labor market. But also, we now know that the time, as you write, the time has come for Powell in the fall here with these interest rate cuts. What do you see happening? What is your prognostication here, your trends forecasting for the fall of 2024 into the new year of 2025 for the American people?
Well, for the American people, life is just going to keep getting worse. Again, the bigs on everything. One of the columns we have every week, bigs getting bigger, and we show all the M&A, merger and acquisition activity. Going back to Powell, this is the clown boy along with Janet Yellen, the former Fed head that's now our Treasury Secretary, that said there's no inflation, it's only temporary. No, it's only transitory. And now in this new world, we could call it transgendatory. Let's really be stupid about it. So now they're going to cut interest rates, and the big bait, again, we thought they would cut them earlier. And again, going back to Yellen, she's our Treasury Secretary. What was the last job? She was the Fed head. You mean the Fed head's our Treasury Secretary? They want to keep the people in power in power. Simple as that. They're running the show right in front of your eyes. They're going to lower interest rates and do everything they can to boost up the economy. Everything. And when they lower interest rates, inflation's going to start going back up, but also the lower interest rates fall, the deeper the dollar declines. The dollar's only high because of the high interest rates. I mean, you talk about it all the time. The debt level that the United States has, what is it, like every 100 days it's increasing $1 trillion?
Right.
They're going to artificially prop up the economy in the run-up to the presidential reality show in November. They're going to do everything they can. So again, the deeper the dollar falls, the higher gold prices go. Gold prices could go to $3,000 an ounce this year. Because the other big issues to look at is the ramping up of the Ukraine war and the Israel war. And that's why people are going to safe haven assets. And again, as you well know, there are no advertisements in the Trends Journal. We don't give financial advice, so nobody's telling us what to say or what to do. We're giving the facts and the implications and the forecasts. So these wars, people, the major stories.
Are we heading for World War III? I mean, we keep saying it. It's already begun. So that's what our audience says. Like, I say it all the time. When you have Americans who are literally dying in Ukraine, and they are, and we're hearing that now from former CIA agents, that's the case, and you have Americans dying in Gaza, you have half of the U.S. Navy in the Middle East right now. How is this not in the middle of a world war?
Again, the people don't have a clue of what's going on. This is from, again, when you subscribe to the Trends Journal and you put in your code, it's cost about $2.50 a week. This is the weekend edition of the Wall Street Journal. $6. Loss in 15 minutes. Tragedy in the Mediterranean. The masts seem to tilt, then disappear. Prosecutors look into possible criminal negligence in the sinking of Mike Lynch's yacht. What the hell do I care about this crap? Who the...
Okay, I'm going to post a link. You can watch the end, but things don't think that, we won't see, a whole lot of this before the election. A lot of people think it's coming after the election. We don't know, but whenever they decide to pull the plug, that's what's going to happen. They want the violent chaos, and, well, all they have to do is pull that plug. So it could come really soon, very soon. And we don't have two parties. I'm going to play just a couple of seconds of the president isn't the U.S. having the problem, Carol. The problem isn't the U.S. having the wrong president. The problem is the U.S. empire's existence. Yes, it doesn't matter who the president will be, because the violent chaos is coming. It's what they want. We have one party, not two, one, not two. And we're not looking at a very good life at all.
Isn't the U.S. having the wrong president? The problem is the U.S. empire's existence. Notes from the edge of the narrative matrix. The reason I find myself fighting with both Harris supporters and Trump supporters is because they see the other party as the problem, while I see the U.S. empire itself as the problem.
And I agree. So if you want to listen to this, the link is in the chat. Yeah, it's... All right, well... Apparently, a whole lot of Americans want what they have already and want more of it. So, let me get that. Oh, shoot, and I just clicked off because that was an important tweet, but there's always tomorrow. All right. U.S. taxpayers paid $150 billion in 1 year for migrants. $150 billion. Is that insane? That was for all of the illegal migrants coming across the border. That's one of the reasons why they continue to lie about the economy and say that it's doing just beautifully. $150 billion for illegal migrants. Okay, and how many Americans are flying off the financial edge every single day? Nothing for them. Okay. California, $30.9 billion. Texas, $13.4 billion. New York, $9.9 billion. Florida, $8.03 billion. And you can see it. I mean, this is criminal. Treasonous, criminal, and you're paying for it. 21 Chuco Tango gang members arrested in El Paso. Chuco Tango. Okay.
El Paso County and are charged with a common.
Oriana, thank you so much for that report. Well, an early morning scare for residents in Vinton as federal officials confirm a multi-agency takedown targeting multiple members and affiliates of a prison gang that has become increasingly active right here in El Paso streets.
Yeah, it's the Chuco Tango gang, and it was the target of this raid as part of a large-scale drug trafficking investigation. KTSM 9 News reporter Jesus Baltazar has been following this story for us all day. He joins us live in central El Paso with how this all went down. Jesus.
Andy, Monica, earlier we reported that there were still 4 suspects at large from Thursday morning's multi-agency operation. Since then, DEA officials have confirmed that 1 out of those people have now been apprehended, thereby bringing the total number of apprehensions for Thursday's operation to 22 individuals.
The individuals arrested today have been indicted here in El Paso, the Western District, and in El Paso County, and are charged with a combination of statutes related to possession with intent to distribute cocaine, methamphetamine, and fentanyl.
Operation Rockwater. At the direction of the FBI and DEA, approximately 200 law enforcement officials from federal, state, local, and tribal agencies carried out the arrests, targeting members and affiliates of the Chuco Tango gang across the borderland in West Texas and southern New Mexico.
4 years ago, the FBI and our partners at the Texas Anti-Gang Center, the TAG, launched Operation Rockwater and an OCDETF investigation, targeting Chuco Tango gang members who are violent criminals for trafficking dangerous drugs, poisoning the streets of El Paso and beyond.
Our crews also capturing heavy law enforcement presence at the El Paso County Coliseum, where the arrested individuals were reportedly being processed according to the El Paso Times.
Have you heard of that gang? I haven't. Never. How many gangs are all over the country? Yeah. Good job. Yeah. Whole lot of Americans. Well, we have to let them in. Who else will pick our fruit? That's the level of ignorance, stupidity coming out of the mouth of an awful lot of Americans. They don't realize that robots have really been picking our fruit. A whole lot of them. All right, this is in Colorado Springs. 100 gangs in Colorado Springs.
KRDO 13 is investigating a new trend in Colorado Springs. Gone are the days when police worried about a small handful of gangs committing crimes in our city.
KRDO 13 investigator Michael Lagerwell explains how law enforcement is trying to stop them.
Colorado Springs police say gangs are a problem in our city. There are more than 100 different gangs here, and police tell KRDO 13 investigates one of the biggest gangs has more than 120 members. Colorado Springs police arrested and charged 18-year-old Josiah Olivas last week. Officers charged him with possession of a dangerous weapon and a large-capacity magazine.
We're dealing with the crime itself and not so much who they're representing, but more so we're keeping that as a statistic.
Police say Olivas, 18, is an active member of the gang Walk Down Everybody Killers, or EBK. Lieutenant Bob Cummings explained there's not just 1 or 2 gangs, but hundreds.
There's not a whole lot of loyalty in the gangs like we saw in the 80s and the 90s, right? Where everybody was wearing blue if you were a Crip and everybody was wearing red if you were a Blood, and Four Corner Hustlers wearing, green. It's not like that anymore. They're very eclectic.
Groups like EBK or 3300 Walk Down Crew are just 2 of the 109 identified gangs in Colorado Springs, which are made up of 911 known gang members. 4% of that are teens.
We're talking to parents, and the parents are frustrated as well because we will lock a kid up for having a gun and being involved in some very serious crimes, and then they're back out on the street and they're doing it again. Well, the parents can't hold them accountable, the society can't hold them accountable, we can't hold them accountable, so it's just a revolving door of justice.
The Colorado Springs Police Department does not have a unit that focuses specifically on gangs. Instead, they focus more on the specific crimes because being in a gang or a group isn't illegal in itself.
I would never have thought Colorado would be the state where an awful lot of these gangs are, but apparently it is. Governor dismisses armed gang takeover as a figment of this woman's imagination.
Danielle Jurinsky is a city council member in Aurora, and she joins me now.
And that's who this woman is.
Danielle, a spokesperson for the governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, he's dismissing you. They say this is all a figment of your imagination. Would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I just would ask him, is this also a figment of the Romero's imagination and all of the other folks that I've spoken to at these complexes and that I've physically moved out? This is one heck of an imagination.
What are you going to do about this?
Well, what I've been able to do so far is bring this much attention to it, and I plan to continue to bring this kind of attention to it until this is addressed. I'm not going to sit back and let this be downplayed and let this be ignored. The governor can attack me all he wants, but I am going to continue to expose this, and I will continue to go into these buildings, and I will get as many people out as I can.
You got to get people out. What about the people who are barging their way into these apartments? What are you going to do about them? Can we arrest them in some way?
Well, I think that that's where we need the help of our state and federal partners. I mean, this is way beyond any one local law enforcement dealing with this. This gang is here. They have spread out. They have taken over multiple apartment complexes. This is not just in Aurora, and we need a group effort here.
Who's to blame, in your opinion?
Well, the blame starts at the southern border. I mean, first and foremost, we need to shut down our southern border, and we need to put policies in place that are vetting these people. And then beyond that, you can look at our state. Our governor has made our state a sanctuary state here in Colorado, and the mayor of Denver, they hung a banner on the Denver City Hall that said, "We love migrants." Well, we love migrants too, but can we vet them? I mean, these people are coming in. They have hundreds of guns. They are running whatever kind of operations they are running, and somebody needs to step in here at the federal level and the state level.
I want to go back to how the residents of some of these apartment buildings actually feel about it and what they're going through. Just watch this for a second.
Every day when we come home, we have to do this. Every time we go outside to take out the garbage, every time we try to go to bed at night, we have to keep it like this so nobody can kick in the door.
It's come to that. 5 locks on the door. Last word to you.
That is one of the folks that I was able to move out the other day, and it is horrifying to see firsthand, and I hope that nobody is listening to our governor. This is not a figment of anyone's imagination. This is very serious. This is very real, and it will spread out quickly across this country if it is not addressed.
Councilwoman.
And Coloradans should be very, very upset with what their governor said. It's a figment of your imagination. Okay, your government is literally, and your governor is making you vulnerable to violence by suggesting it's in everybody's head. When we've seen the videos. And this was sent to me by a subscriber whom I'd like to thank. Yeah. Mayor of Aurora, Colorado, has dropped a bombshell suggesting that the gangs seizing control of apartment buildings may have been bankrolled by the Biden-Harris administration.
Aurora, Colorado. Mayor, thank you very much for coming on with us. Aurora, Colorado. Mayor, thank you very much for coming on with us. It seems it's tough to even get some confirmation of the details of what is going on there. First off, can you confirm whether or not this gang has taken over these buildings there in Aurora?
So there are several buildings actually under the same ownership, out-of-state ownership, that have fallen to these Venezuelan gangs. I'm trying to walk it back and do the investigation as to how there's a concentration of Venezuelans in these 3 buildings. Somebody put them there, and somebody funded it. whether it's federal government or not, we're trying to find out who these gangs apparently are attracted to where there's a concentration of Venezuelan migrants. And so they've in fact have kind of pushed out the property management through intimidation and then collected the rents. We have now or have had it is ongoing operations with a task force of local law enforcement, state law enforcement partners, and federal law enforcement partners to root them out. And arrests have been made, but these operations are still ongoing.
With the arrests that have been made, are these confirmed gang-affiliated members?
You know, this is an organized criminal effort. Whether it's Tren de Aragua, that remains to be seen. But it really doesn't matter. I mean, if they're Venezuelan migrants and they're conducting crime in an organized manner, they're a problem.
So you're able to confirm that this Venezuelan gang has indeed taken over at least some of the buildings. You're saying at least 2 of the 3. And what I just heard from you is you don't know how they ended up there. And you even made a suggestion that they could have been sent there by federal officials. I heard you suggest.
Well,
I mean, do you have any reason to believe that to be the case?
So here's the problem. I think we're a victim of a failed policy at the southern border because what you have.
It's not a failed policy. It's a successful, deliberate policy. It's just part of all of the agendas to take down our country. Not a failed policy.
Venezuela does not according to my law enforcement, Venezuela does not cooperate with the United States in sharing criminal histories. You've had a third of the country leave. You've had these massive waves of migrants coming across the border that many of them crossed the border illegally, were arrested, asked for political asylum, were not adequately vetted, were released into the country. The city of Aurora, we did everything we could to quite frankly keep them out of the city because it's not our problem. This is a federal problem. This is a problem borne by the federal government. But what we're trying to find out, and what I believe occurred, was that federal agencies worked with some of our local nonprofits and put them there. Now, most of these people are very good people. But there's a criminal element that, from what I understand, what law enforcement is briefing me, that often follows them, intends to exploit them within their own migrant community. And so we believe that is happening now. Now, we're the 51st largest city in America with over 400,000 in population. This is only several apartment complexes.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I'm not going to surrender any part of this city to a criminal element.
With all due respect, it's no longer, just in the hands of the feds when you've got we've heard reports that this gang has green-lighted its members to attack your local police. What are you doing about that, Mayor?
Well, we're aware of that in the Denver metropolitan area, that there are elements of Tren de Aragua here. And so, we're, in terms of how our police operate, the tactics, what they're doing to protect themselves, is our number one priority.
Wow. We've got an awful lot of problems. Don't you think? Here, let's listen to this man. Oh no, wait a second. All right, you gotta hang on. Let's just put this up here. Okay, so Salt Lake, Utah, ready to form armed watch amid ongoing crime concerns. Salt Lake, Utah, a sanctuary city, an awful lot of migrants there, and I would say that all men should be having meetings with those community members who are male to do exactly what this headline suggests. And women, it's sad to see that hardly anybody has.
Hello, a Salt Lake City man says crime has gotten so bad in his neighborhood, he's ready to form an armed neighborhood watch. Thanks for joining us for 2 News at 5. I'm Heidi Hatch.
And I'm Mark Cavell. Salt Lake police say they're cracking down on crime throughout the city, but he says it's not enough, especially where he lives. Ariel Harrison live from Poplar Grove for us tonight. Ariel?
Well, the man tells me he'd love to sit in his front yard and enjoy this park, but instead he has a front row seat to what he says is regular crime. He is so frustrated that this man claims both he and others in this community are ready to take matters into their own hands. It's something I asked the governor, police in Salt Lake County, and city mayors about today.
They're just letting it happen.
Jason Seaton said he is fed up with crime in the Poplar Grove area, and he's let police and local leaders know it. What's this?
Each gray box represents a call to the city.
Seaton's lived in the Salt Lake community now for 10 years, but in the past 3, he says he is constantly calling law enforcement about scary activity near his home.
Homeless people have been breaking into homes.
Have you seen these things firsthand?
Yes, absolutely. Someone was stabbed in my driveway, and I've come out here to needles, pipes, and everything left to clean up the park before I would bring my kid over here. But now it's just easier to go somewhere else.
In addition to police, Seaton says he's escalated his concerns to the governor and to city and county mayors. And despite the increased enforcements, he says nothing is changing.
And if Governor Cox is going to say, well, we don't want to manage a state like California, well, then get hot. Don't manage a state like California. Come up with a plan.
Is there real intent on your end to gather an armed neighborhood watch?
If no one's going to do anything, if the police are overwhelmed and the state won't do anything and the county won't do anything, then we have to do something.
Today, I reached out to Governor Cox and Salt Lake City and county mayors in addition to police. Governor Cox's team referred me back to the city and SLCPD. He says the police are here. They're responding. They're in my community, but it's not enough.
We just want to remind them to keep calling us. Our data shows that our citywide crime rate has gone down about 11%, and we're constantly working to solve these kind of situations.
I asked what type of support the police department is getting and if it's enough.
We can always take more support. It's a evolving situation. We're getting support from our state partners, have different agencies that come out and help us do operations.
For Seaton, he says the problem is out of hand now and fears it'll only get worse.
When they come out and they do a sweep to the park in the middle of the night. They will do it. It's not that they're not doing their job. The problem is there's too much of it.
Too much crime. Okay, if Americans don't link up, yeah. If Americans don't link up, migrants will continue to take over and take over and take over.
Kill us, they're here to conquer us. We're going to show you each area in the United States that has come out with videos and what are they experiencing right now and who is this gang. The hierarchy obviously heads off with the Communist Chinese military. We put out a video talking about that, but if Americans don't link up, this is going to get out of hand. It's going to get way worse. The UN agenda was for us to be flooded just like this for this to happen. And if now you can see this in Denver, Colorado, people are starting to put this sign up. It's popping up around Denver, Colorado as parts of nearby towns have been taken over and being controlled by armed.
It says caution, Kamala's illegals. It's not just Kamala. My God. All right. I'm going to post the link. You can watch this JWTV video. But yeah, and Americans won't do anything. So it's only going to get worse and worse. And yeah, what you gonna do when they come for you? A whole lot of Americans will say, "Oh, I'm just gonna run out there with my guns." Okay, well, protect your family. But if you've got a whole gang of gang members better to have a community watch that's armed. Yeah, and we've got serial gropers. Wow, a serial groper terrorizes LA woman in grocery store aisles.
Who was assaulted is coming forward because she believes there are more victims out there who stayed quiet.
I felt angry. I felt violated. I couldn't believe this was happening to me.
While shopping at Ralph's at 2600 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles, this young woman was browsing the spice aisle on Sunday morning when a stranger suddenly grabbed and squeezed her buttocks before quickly walking away.
I was mad. I was very angry. Angry would be the word to best describe it.
She let Ralph's employees know she had been touched inappropriately. Security told her the man was still in the store. So she waited by the exit to confront him.
It happened so fast that I just remember just straight punching him in the eye. He never said a word. He never said.
Good for her. But how about this one? Man fights back against attacker at grocery store. This was in, I believe, Georgia.
An alarming attack inside an Atlanta area Kroger. An 80-year-old man is called for action. He says a man randomly attacked him while shopping, but he didn't go down without a fight. Fox 5's Tyler Fingert is live in DeKalb County with the story you'll see only here on Fox 5. Tyler.
Yeah, Christine, good afternoon to you. A trip to the Toco Hills Kroger did not go as planned for an 80-year-old man who says he was attacked in the produce department. He left with bumps and bruises, and now he wants his attacker off the streets.
I had a very big bump on my head.
Felix Dessel says the signs of the attack at a DeKalb County Kroger are beginning to heal and fade, but he's still in shock that a random man went after him while shopping for groceries.
I have a hard time going to sleep because I'm reviewing it. Not, the bruises will go away, but this is a different story.
Dessel, who's 80, says the attack happened around lunchtime last Thursday at the DeKalb County Kroger at the intersection of La Vista and North Druid Hills roads.
The can of soda was being held in the hand, and when I turned around, I saw the can of soda in the face, and it hit me right there.
According to the DeKalb County Police report, after Dessel was hit, he ran toward the suspect and fought back. Investigators say the suspect then threw multiple items at him. Dessel says the suspect also threw punches and kicks. He says when an employee saw what was happening, they were both told to leave, and the suspect took off.
I said, I'm not getting out of the store. I was just attacked. I'm picking bananas and somebody attacks me, and I was a little woozy from the shot.
Kroger sent Fox 5 a statement that reads in part, quote, "The safety and security of our customers and associates is our top priority. We work with local law enforcement upon request in all ongoing investigations." Dessel, who is in town visiting family, never needed to go to the hospital, but he believes more needs to be done to protect customers.
They need to have security. Something tragic is going to happen there.
You can't protect against crazy Americans, crazy violent Americans. You cannot protect. You could have a security guard at the door, but if somebody's just going to go after you because they're a lunatic or they've been programmed, electromagnetic frequencies to do just that, you can't protect against it. So we're going to be seeing more of this. NYPD hunt for suspect who slashed man in the face. Do you know how many slashed people there are in New York? I've included it on my live stream. Last night it was a woman on the bus slashed in the face. Now, today, slashed in the face. And this is the Upper West Side, where I used to live. That subway station, I went to an awful lot, known as a good neighborhood. I don't know what the hell is going on. I do not recognize New York anymore.
So following this breaking news on the Upper West Side, police say there's been a slashing at a subway station at 72nd and Broadway.
All right, Fox 5 Sharon Crowley live from the scene. Sharon, what do we know?
Yeah, there are many more police officers here at the West 72nd and Broadway subway stop, or right above it here, the 1, 2, and 3 lines. Take a look at some of these pictures. Violence broke out just after 3 o'clock this afternoon. Police telling us a 26-year-old man was slashed with a sharp object in the face. Here's what we know. Investigators say, and you may see him there, he had blood all over his face, and police were interviewing him right there on the platform. Police say the 26-year-old and another man got into some kind of verbal argument that led to the violence. They are still looking for the suspect who ran away. The 26-year-old victim, we're told, was taken to the hospital and is going to be fine, in stable condition, and they were interviewing him there on the platform. Now, even though subway crime is down, according to the mayor, overall, it's incidents like this that really affect the public perception of riding the subway. I talked with some subway riders just a few minutes ago, right after this happened.
Just now?
Yeah.
In the day?
Yeah.
I mean, I get the subway very late, so I do get nervous.
It's bad. We need more cops, but I hope they bring more cops.
We need more people going after these people and attacking them. The cops aren't going to do anything. Even if they arrested him, they'd probably back out on the street very quickly afterwards. People need to really go after these people, and maybe they'll think twice. Man allegedly abducts girl, 9 years old, sexually assaults her in Queens, New York.
Craig and Vanessa, this all happened around 7:30 last night, and police detectives have really been working very quickly to try to get information out to the community, because they really do believe that somebody knows who this man is and is going to be able to identify him to police. Shortly after 7:30, according to sources, getting a 911 call that a child had been abducted. What happened was a grandmother was shopping with her 9-year-old granddaughter, according to sources, inside this Key Food on Jamaica Avenue. The man was able to separate the little girl from her grandmother, get her into his car, drive her around the block, and that is where he sexually assaulted her. He brought her back to the store, dropped her off. Sometime in that period, a 911 call was made, a huge police presence here with a child abduction. The child was returned there, EMS able to get to the girl and treat her. I want you to see his picture now. He is described as a dark-skinned man. He's wearing a pink shirt and an MTA hat. This is what he had on at the point of the abduction. Police believe he is in his 60s, driving a 4-door brown Honda. A senior NYPD official tweeting this picture out, also asking for help in identifying, saying,
"Oh, wow, man. Unbelievable. Whoa. What could possibly be going through somebody's brain like that guy? Oh, I'm going to just grab a 9-year-old, drive her around the block, sexually assault her, and then drop her off." You have to wonder. You know, I'd like to believe that these people are actually being targeted with electromagnetic frequencies, and but no, we've always had these people. Now we just have a whole lot of them. Non-stop vandalism on elderly woman's home. She doesn't understand it. It continues. She's very tired.
This is the recent act of vandalism on 78-year-old Paulette Codwell's home. She tells me she doesn't feel safe anymore.
I've lived in this neighborhood over 20 years, and they just keep coming back.
Codwell says vandals have hit her home 6 times since February of this year.
I just wanted to stop.
She caught one vandal on camera running away after launching paint into the air at 5 in the morning. The paint is still here from July 21st. There's splatters on her camera, garage door, and driveway. She's cleaned up the mess before, but is tired of doing it.
Basically, you think maybe it's some children doing pranks, but nobody else on this street had any damage to their mailbox.
This is
What the hell, man? Okay. Cadaver dogs detect body under home of man suspected in killing a couple. I'm telling you, our country has just gone berserk, and it's only going to go more berserk. Hilton shutters hotel on Oakland's crime-plagued Hedgenberger Road. Okay, businesses are closing down all over due to crime. Seattle is being destroyed. Woman says there are no businesses, only migrants and homelessness.
In America, Seattle, Washington, this is it, you guys. Steak and Shack all around, every corner you go on, every street you go on. This is what it looks like. Nothing is here because we have a huge epidemic of drugs going on here, homelessness. These people, it is horrific, it is terrifying, it is horrifically sad. This is what is going on. In big cities all around America, you haven't heard much of Seattle. We're 2 blocks up from Pike's Place, one of the biggest tourist attractions in America, and this is what it looks like. If you come to Seattle, you have to walk through these streets, walk right in front of all of these people, and if you want to go anywhere to eat, well, everything is closed. Every corner, every shop is gone. There used to be a Qdoba, a steak shop, a Potbelly's, a TJ Maxx right above us. It's no longer here. This is what is going on in big cities in America, and our government leaders are worried about stupid things like plastic straws, making sure we're competent enough to run as government leaders. This is what is going on. We have a huge problem here in America. Stop sending all that money to different countries. Invest in America. If I was a government leader, that is what I'd be doing.
Okay, so Anton Daniels, I will post the link. Yeah, well, it's people have to begin to understand at this point that all of this is deliberate. It is deliberate. The empire, they're bringing it down. They are bringing it down. And how, it saddens me because I did live in California for a short time when late teen years. Santa Monica businesses continued to deal with homeless crisis. Santa Monica used to be so flippin' beautiful and safe.
10 small business owners tell us they are fed up with all the crime and homelessness in Santa Monica. Some even say there's so much crime, cops aren't even showing up after getting 911 calls. Ed Laskos has been looking into that. He's live in Santa Monica with a story you'll see only on Fox 11 tonight. Ed.
And we're talking about famed Wilshire Boulevard here. It's the main artery that runs right through the very heart of the city, Santa Monica, and you've known for its restaurants on one side, its shops on the other side, and now sadly on both sides of the sidewalks, the homeless and the problems that they bring. That has one businessman speaking out this late hour, sending a direct message all the way to City Hall. Watch.
Mayor, we need your help. We need your help in this area. Please come and help us. The crime.
A desperate plea to the mayor of Santa Monica. Do something about this.
It's like a horror movie.
And yeah, it is a horror movie. So I am going to play this out. It's 5 minutes and 48 seconds, and this is a sheriff in California who is, he is speaking an awful lot of truth here. And what do we need? We need the ordinary Californians in this case, ordinary Americans, to begin to do something. Otherwise, you may be the next victim.
Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff. We are here today because California public safety is in crisis. Crime is steadily on the rise, and our public safety policy is one of the worst, if not the worst, in the nation. I want to make this clear, and I want there to be no mistake in what I am saying. This is not by accident. The driving force in our crisis is a radical, progressive agenda fraudulently called criminal justice reform. This is nothing short of a sick and twisted social experiment where law enforcement is the bad guy and criminals are somehow victims of society and not responsible for their actions, their crimes, or accountable to their countless victims. This agenda began with the passage of AB 109, the so-called Public Safety Realignment Act. State government failed to take responsibility for prison overcrowding or their failure to build more prisons, and instead forced county jails to house state inmates while simultaneously releasing thousands of felons early. This has pushed our county jails to a near collapse and caused the early release of countless criminals. Thousands upon thousands of criminals are being released from custody early, crime is increasing, and our governor is closing prisons instead of building new ones. It defies common sense. In 2014, a complete fraud was perpetrated in California. The so-called Safe Streets and Safe Schools Initiative, Prop 47, changed many felonies to misdemeanors, basically legalized drug use, and increased the amount of petty theft to nearly $1,000. In 2016, another lie was perpetrated on voters with the naming and wording of Prop 57, tricking voters into approving the release of thousands of violent criminals onto our streets and neighborhoods. This is why we are here. Everyone knows Prop 47 and 57 are disasters, and yet Governor Newsom adamantly touts it as a success, and lawmakers continue to refuse to fix their mistake and the problems that they have created. When once crimes are no longer crimes, it allows Governor Newsom and Attorney General Bonta to cite completely flawed data points to support their failures. Californians are now suffering the consequences of a failed social agenda.
Not a failed social agenda. I would really like it if people could understand that this is intentional. It is intentional. Oh my God, we have a treasonous criminal organization that we call government, right? Please begin to understand. It's all brought about intentionally. So, do we have to do something? Yeah. Do we need a whole group, community watch persons, watchmen? Yes. Yes, absolutely. So, I'm not playing the full thing because I am so tired, I can't stand it. So I'm going to just jump off, but the link is in the chat. He has another, like 2 minutes. Wow, man, we are in big trouble. Again, I'm going to say that I sure do hope that you have the means to protect yourself. If you have the means to get out of the cities, you'll at least live a little longer. It's very sad to see this. Very sad. But it was we the people, and, well, we failed. To do anything, to hold our government accountable. So, do be safe. I just want to see well, Michigan looks like it might be spared Mama Rages, but could it be tomorrow that I see destruction in North Carolina? They do seem to be extinguishing a lot of the supercells in these states that 2 hours ago we saw the supercell construction all the way into Texas. So it seems to be breaking up a bit. That's good. Supercells in Georgia seem to be, they're eliminating that. The supercells are going into South Carolina. But look at the Doppler radar, tracking all of those planes only in the eastern half of the country. I find that very interesting. Okay, severe weather map. Only for Michigan. Ha! Isn't that interesting? Only for Michigan. St. Clair, Michigan. All right, well, it looks like they may just be ramming another supercell in there, but so much for being spared. All right. Stay safe, everybody. Live honestly, speak honestly. Help out your community. Everyone can, afford to pick up a little bit of extra food, bring it to the food banks, and dog food, or cat food, pet food, to help out the animal shelters. So, let's do it. On that note, be safe, everybody. Good night, good luck. Ciao, guys.